Have you ever had your phone freeze on you? You tap the screen, nothing happens. You tap again, still nothing. The screen is right there. The app is open. Everything looks normal, but it just stops. Frozen. And then, maybe 10 seconds later, it suddenly comes back to life. As if nothing happened. Oh no. I know that feeling. Because that's exactly what happens to your mind when you try to speak English. In this video, I'm going to show you what's really happening inside your brain in those frozen seconds. Why it's not your English. Why it's not your memory. And why it happens even to people who've studied for years. Then I'll tell you about one of my students, a waiter from Italy, who broke this pattern in just 4 weeks with something I call the one-job rule. By the end of this video, you'll understand your blank moments in a completely new way. And you'll have something you can actually try tomorrow. The conversation is happening. The other person is looking at you. You know the words. You've studied them. Maybe for years. But the moment they ask you a question, your brain just freezes. Empty. Not because you forgot. Not because you don't know. Just frozen. And then 20 minutes later, when the moment is gone, the perfect English sentence appears in your head. Word by word. Like your phone finally finishing the task after the conversation is already over. Sound familiar? Welcome to English Unlocked, and I'm Emma, a language psychologist. And I help English learners break through the mental walls that stop them from speaking, using psychology, neuroscience, and a lot of empathy. Because I've been there too. I know that frozen moment from the inside. I want you to know something. That frozen moment is not a sign that you're bad at English. It's not a sign that you're slow. It's not even a sign that you need more vocabulary. It's a sign that something else is happening inside your brain. Something nobody really explains to language learners. And once you understand it, you can stop blaming yourself. You can stop hiding from conversations. You can finally start to unfreeze. So today, I want to show you what's actually happening in those frozen seconds. And I want to show you how one of my students, a man named Marco, learned to walk straight through that wall and come out the other side. Let me start with the part nobody talks about. When you have a conversation in English, your brain is doing something incredible and exhausting. It's running about 5 different jobs at the same time, all in the background, all under pressure, all while a real human being is staring at you, waiting for an answer. Job number 1, listening. You're trying to catch every English word the other person says. Job number 2, understanding. You're translating those sounds into meaning, fast enough to keep up. Job number 3, thinking. You're forming your own thoughts, your opinion, your reaction. Job number 4, searching. You're looking through your memory for the right English words to express what you want to say. And job number 5, speaking. You're trying to put those words in the right order, with the right grammar and the right pronunciation, while someone watches. 5 jobs at the same time, while someone watches, while the clock ticks, while your heart speeds up. And here's what scientists discovered. Your brain has a small space called working memory. Think of it like the RAM in your phone, the fast memory, the space your phone uses to keep apps running right now, Not the storage, not the photos, just the live, active processing space. And that space is small, surprisingly small. Your working memory can only hold a few things at once. Maybe 4, maybe 5. That's it. So when you try to run 5 conversation jobs at the same time, your brain hits its limit. And what happens when a phone tries to run too many apps at once? It freezes. Oh no, I know how that sounds. Like an excuse, like a complicated science thing. But hear me out, because this changes everything about how you should think about your blank moments. You're not failing. Your brain is overloading. There's a huge difference. Failing means there's something wrong with you. Overloading means there's too much happening at once. And the second one is fixable. But there's something else. Something even more important. And this is the part most teachers will never tell you. When you start a conversation in English, your body adds a 6th job. And it's not a thinking job. It's an emotional one. It's social pressure. The moment the other person looks at you, your body wakes up. Your heart beats a little faster. Your breathing changes, your shoulders tighten. Just slightly, your stress level rises. Not because you're scared exactly, but because your body knows something important is happening. And here's the cruel part. That stress uses the same brain space as your English, the same working memory, the same little RAM chip. So now your brain is trying to run 5 language jobs, plus 1 big emotional job, 6 things, in a space that fits 4. No wonder it freezes. No wonder the words disappear. No wonder the perfect sentence comes to you hours later. When you're alone in your kitchen, with no pressure, no eyes on you, and your brain finally has the space to think clearly. Pause for a second. Have you ever noticed that? How your English flows beautifully when you're alone, but vanishes the moment a real person stands in front of you? That's not weakness. That's not lack of practice. Have you ever noticed that? How your English flows beautifully when you're alone, but vanishes the moment a real person stands in front of you? That's not weakness. That's not lack of practice. That's your brain protecting you from a system that was running too many things at once. And once you see this, you can start to fix it. Now, I want to tell you about Marco. Marco is 41 years old. He lives in a small town in northern Italy. He works as a waiter at his family's restaurant. And every summer, his town fills with tourists. Most of them speak English. Marco came to me last spring. And the first thing he told me was, "Emma, I have studied English for 30 years. 30. I have books. I have apps. I have notebooks full of grammar rules I copied by hand. But every time a tourist sits at my table, my mind goes completely blank. And I just point at the menu, like a lost child." His voice was tired when he said it. The kind of tired that comes from years of trying. The kind of tired that comes from carrying shame for so long that it starts to feel like part of who you are. And I told him, "Marco, I don't think you have an English problem. I think you have a freezing problem. And that's actually good news." He looked at me like I was a little crazy. So I explained, "Marco, when you're at home, reading the menu in English, no problem, right? You understand every word." "Yes." "And when you watch English movies alone, you understand most of it?" "Yes." "So the words are in your brain. They're not missing. They're just locked behind something, And that something is the moment a real customer sits down. He nodded slowly. But how do I unlock it? That's the right question. I told him this. I said, Marco, I'm not going to give you more grammar. I'm not going to give you more vocabulary. You already have what you need. Instead, I'm going to give you something to remove, not add, remove. And I gave him what I call the one-job rule. Here's how it works. When Marco's brain is overloaded with 5 jobs at once, he can't think. So we needed to take jobs away from his brain. Make the conversation simpler for his working memory. Free up the RAM. Step 1. I told him to forget about grammar. Completely. For 30 days, I asked him to not think about whether his sentences were correct. Not at all. If he wanted to say, I bring you bread, instead of I will bring you some bread, perfect. Use it. Don't fix it. Don't even notice it. That removed one job from his brain. Step 2. I told him to use one-word answers when he could. If a tourist asked, is the pasta good today? Marco didn't have to say, yes, today our pasta is excellent because the chef made it fresh this morning. He could just say, yes, very good. 2 words. Smile. Done. That removed another job. Step 3. And this is the most important one. I told him to breathe before answering. Not a fancy breathing exercise, just one small breath, 1 second of pause, 1 second of, I'm okay. Because that 1 second lowered his stress level just enough to free up the emotional job. And suddenly, his brain had room to think. 3 small things. That's it. That's all we changed. And here's what happened. The first week, Marco told me it felt strange. Emma, I feel like I'm cheating. The sentences are so simple, like a child. And I told him, Marco, that's not cheating. That's flying. You're finally lifting off the ground because you stopped carrying so much weight. By the second week, something shifted. He called me one evening. His voice was different, lighter, like someone who had been holding his breath for years and finally exhaled. He said, Emma, today an American couple sat at my table. The woman asked me about the wine, and before I could think about it, before I could plan the sentence, I just said, this one is from my uncle's farm. Strong. Very good for meat. And she smiled. And we talked for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. In English. Without freezing. I nearly cried when I heard that. Because I could hear it in his voice. Not just relief. Joy. The joy of finally being seen by a stranger. Of finally being able to share something he loved, his uncle's wine, in another language. The joy of being a human in English, not just a frozen waiter pointing at a menu. By the 4th week, Marco wasn't avoiding tourists anymore. He was looking forward to them. He started small conversations on purpose. He told tourists about the village, about his grandmother's recipes, about the old church on the hill. The English wasn't perfect. He still made mistakes. He still forgot words sometimes. But the freezing was gone, because his brain was finally running the right number of jobs. And he told me something I'll never forget. He said, Emma, I thought I was broken for 30 years, but I was just carrying too much. That sentence is everything. Now I want to ask you something. And I want you to really sit with this before you scroll away or close the video. The next time your mind goes blank in an English conversation, what if you didn't blame yourself? What if you didn't immediately think, I'm so stuck, or everyone is judging me, or I'll never get this right? What if instead of thinking, I'm bad at this, I'll never be fluent, why can't I just speak? You thought something different? What if you thought, my brain is overloaded right now, it's protecting me, and I can give it less to carry? What if you let yourself use a simpler sentence, a shorter answer, a small breath before speaking? Would that be cheating? Or would that finally be flying? Because here's what nobody told Marco for 30 years, and what nobody told me when I was learning my second language, and what maybe nobody has told you yet. Your mind doesn't go blank because you're bad at English. Your mind goes blank because it's trying too hard to be perfect in a moment that doesn't have room for perfection. And the day you stop trying to carry all 5 jobs at once is the day the freezing stops. So tomorrow, if you find yourself in an English conversation, try just one thing. Take a small breath. Use a short sentence. Let it be imperfect. Let it be simple. And see what happens. Then come back here and tell me in the comments, what was the conversation? What did you say? Did your mind still freeze? Or did something feel different this time? I'll be reading every single one, because your story matters. And because I know, I really, really know, that the moment your brain stops freezing is the moment everything changes. You're not broken. You're just carrying too much. And starting today, you can put some of it down. Yes, bye for now.